the heart of the African continent lies Rwanda, a beautiful little country with one of the saddest stories to tell. 2 years ago, I was here for comic relief in the capital city, Kigali.
Here I am, back in Rwanda. I think this is the same room I was in last time, actually. It was a really weird thing because it was 2 days before I was asked by Comic Relief to go to Rwanda the first time. I went out and got this book, Fergal Keane's Season of Blood. Actually, don't tell him because I got it very cheaply. It was damaged. But we won't tell him that. But I'd like to read you a little bit. Before you read this book, and while you read it, remember the figures. Never, ever forget them. In 100 days, up to 1 million people were hacked, shot, strangled, clubbed, and burned to death. Remember, carve this into your consciousness. 1 million.
7 years ago, I reported from Rwanda for the BBC on the campaign of mass murder launched against the Tutsi minority by Hutu extremists. These were some of the images that reached our TV screens.
You do not just see death here, you feel it and smell it. It is as if all the good and life in the atmosphere had been sucked out and replaced with the stench of evil.
But these were not spontaneous tribal massacres. It was a planned campaign to wipe out the entire Tutsi population. It was the crime of crimes, genocide.
Returning to Rwanda is the strangest feeling. I mean, I've been back a few times since the genocide, and yet every single time I come back, it's the images of that time that come to me almost immediately. It's very hard to see this place in the present tense, because I'll always see it as it was during the genocide, and that was as a place of terror.
They're still finding bodies in Rwanda, though for the world outside, the genocide is old news. But Comic Relief has stayed with the story and the survivors, many of whom face a devastating new problem. Paul and I are here to follow the story of a remarkable group of women.
I think this is a love story. It's a story about women, about women's boundless capacity for love of humanity.
Fergal and I are teaming up with Esther Mujaweyo, who, along with 4 other women, started an organisation for the widows of the genocide called AVEGA. Comic Relief was there at the outset, giving the AVEGA women their first grant. I met Esther when I came to Rwanda in 1998. She had lost her husband in the genocide.
He was killed. He was killed during the genocide in April '94.
Esther's husband was a teacher and was taken from this school and murdered. Esther managed to escape with their 3 children. Everywhere here you feel the absence of fathers and husbands. Today, AVEGA membership has reached over 30,000 widows. We're off to meet Gatarina, another widow.
When I was there, it was 2 years ago, I took loads of pictures. These are of who we're going to see today, Gatarina.
Beautiful kids.
Yeah. Beautiful. She's an amazing woman. She's like the best mother in the world, you know. She said, while we were there, she said, are you married? And I said, yes, I've got a wife in London. And she said, are you allowed to have more than one? I said, only if the other one doesn't find out.
Having started AVEGA, Esther seems to know every widow in Rwanda, and she encouraged Gatarina to get an AVEGA loan with Comic Relief money and start a small business to help support herself and her extraordinary family.
Looking very well. I've got some photos. Do you remember? And
Hey, horror.
this is us.
Gatarina looks so well and happy. Her strength flows like a warm current to the children, to all who seek comfort with her.
He told me all about you. All the secrets between you two. Everything.
Katerina's doing something quite remarkable. Along with her own children, she's taken in the orphans of friends and relatives murdered in the genocide. They're all her children now.
How many children are with Katerina now?
23.
23, including this gangster.
23 children is one big responsibility, especially when they've all been traumatized. For the young eyes of Rwanda have looked on things no child should ever see. Everyone they loved, parents, brothers, sisters, murdered. There are few grandparents left, entire generations are gone. Rwanda hasn't enough adults left behind to care for the surviving children. Many children end up on the streets or in one of Kigali's many orphanages, like this one, Gisimba. It does its best, but struggles to provide for children who are so traumatized that they may have lost their speech or may even have forgotten how to play. In Katerina's family, every child gets the protection and love that they need. That's where you and Comic Relief come in. Your money can make such a difference. With just £50, Katerina set up a bakery to earn a living and to help feed herself and her 23 children.
I can get a job in Pizza Express when I go.
You need a job in Pizza Express. How many loaves of bread a day?
So it is 1,100 bread.
This size?
Yeah.
Minus the ones we've just ruined.
This size.
Who did that one?
That's Bradley.
That's not. This is mine.
Buns on demand. It must be great to have a mother as a baker.
Yeah, she said by selling it, it helps her, but also then now she can afford to give them bread.
Katerina's business is an example of what your money, Comic Relief, and one woman's determination can achieve together.
But you should prepare yourself, because there is a terrible story to tell. Here at its headquarters, AVEGA, which you have supported, is a lifeline for widows of the genocide. It is a place of quiet and calm, of open hearts and helping hands, a place where it is safe to face the most painful memories. Since I was last here, Esther has discovered a new and terrifying legacy of the genocide. This is a story which demands to be heard and remembered. Many of the women who endured the loss of their loved ones were raped as part of the campaign of violence and are now dying of AIDS. Some of them have agreed to tell us their stories. Immaculée had been married for just a few months when her husband was murdered at the start of the genocide. She fled, but was caught by the militia and raped by several men.
He took me into the house where there was a bed and ordered me to take off my clothes, but I refused. He then undressed me himself. He sat on the bed and said I had to have sex with him. He started asking me to caress him as I would my husband. He said Tutsi women are meant to be good at making love, but I refused him, so he raped me. So he finished and started putting on his clothes. Then there was another. He did not even undress himself. He ordered me to have sex with him as well. He raped me, and after him came another.
Immaculée was pregnant when she was raped. She now has a daughter called Grace. Soon after she gave birth, she fell ill. Later, she discovered she had AIDS.
She's quite sure it was from the rape because she was very recently married. She has a very tiny hope that the child is not positive because she can't see how God can give her so much pain after the rape, after the being infected herself. She hopes that Grace is not HIV positive.
iyo mbitekereje mbona mbese uroye icyizere ni gikeya.
Immaculate's story is unfortunately similar to thousands and thousands of other widows. She can't afford the drugs that would fight the AIDS virus and prolong her life. When she dies, the house she rents will be taken away, and Immaculate is terrified that Grace will be alone in the world. Like many widows, Immaculate has very few possessions from before the genocide, but she still has a cardigan which belonged to her husband. She wore it and used it as a blanket during the killings.
This cardigan is very important for Immaculate. It belongs to the past, and it belongs to her journey during the genocide, so she's keeping it now. Very, very like a treasure. Yeah.
That sort of experience and hearing it told, it's a very, very intense experience. And I cannot find the words to describe. I do not know what to say to somebody like that who's been through several forms of hell, several hells, if you like. I don't know if anyone can give any sort of consolation, except seeing her with Esther and talking to Esther. Esther and AVEGA somehow gives her something. There is something amazing happening, you know, there. Although I do not know how to describe it. I don't know how you describe it.
One of the most extraordinary things about the work of AVEGA is that, after the rapes, AVEGA helped women to put their broken lives back together again. Esther explained to us how the mass rape of Tutsi women happened.
Even on the radio, they were saying, now it is time to take those beautiful women who have been so arrogant with us. Even if you were not arrogant, but this was the stereotype, that the Tutsi woman is beautiful, arrogant, tall, and this and this. So now go and discover how they are. There were more atrocities. We had women who not only were raped, but were also mutilated. And when they have finished to rape you, they said it is not good enough, then they will rape you with sticks. We have many women whose uterus has been taken out because it was completely destroyed.